So welcome to Module 5. In this module, we're going to talk about ascension marketing. So how do you increase the percentage of people who get your front-end product, who then go up to your mid-tier product, your back-end product, and then possibly even beyond that to even higher priced, more valuable programs. Getting good at improving the ascension in your business, it's one of the greatest leverage points you have available. It's only really secondary to improving the number of front-end buyers you have coming into the system. So key points, we're going to talk about the essential back-end. From a economic standpoint, the numbers in your business, why is it just so vital that you have a good back-end in place? We're going to look at one-time offers, otherwise known as OTOs. You might have heard of them before. Basically, it's a point of sale upsell right at that point where they have their credit card out, ready to buy, ready to do business with you. So we're going to look at continuity. How do you add in continuity into your business? Continuity is basically where you're collecting money on a regular basis from your customers. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be annually, but you paid the money to acquire the customer once in advertising cost. Now it's about how do you provide additional service that's ongoing so they can keep on paying you and your business. Done for you offers. So how do you put together a back-end offer where you take care of implementing some service or some part of your product for your customer? A lot of your customers, they want the solution, but they don't just want the how-to. They would much rather someone just does it completely for them, and they're willing to pay premium prices for that. So I'm going to talk about how do you introduce done for you into your business model. And last of all, we're going to talk about reactivating past customers. Just because a customer has stopped spending money with you, they've stopped engaging with your business, it doesn't mean that they can't be reactivated. So we're going to look at some strategies about how you can get them back engaged and doing business with you. So first of all, what's a backend? Well, we've already defined that in this program, but just to recap, a backend product is something you sell to a customer after the original product. As I talked about at the start of this program, the days of having just one product are long over. You need to have additional, more expensive, more valuable programs that you can offer on the back end. So it looks like this. People are going to come into your funnel. You're going to get them in as leads in the beginning. They're going to become front-end buyers, and then through our ascension path, we're going to take them to our back-end programs. Now on the front end, as you're spending money on advertising, you're likely going to be losing money. Okay, that's how it is for most mature businesses. They lose money on the front end, but they make it up on the back end. So if you are currently advertising and you are currently getting customers and you're not yet profitable, but you don't yet have a back end, then don't despair, don't worry too much. Adding in a back end and changing the entire economics of your business, it's not that hard. It can be done very quickly. Jay Abraham, one of my marketing mentors, I once heard him say this. He said there's really only 3 ways that a business can start making more money. Now, if you go to a local brick and mortar business, you walk in and you ask the owner, what's the one thing you need right now to make more money? The answer is going to be something like, I need more customers. Okay, that's the most obvious answer. It's also the worst possible answer because to go and get more customers is expensive. Okay, acquiring customers these days, there's real cost. There's actually 2 much easier, far more lucrative ways you can start making a lot more revenue in your business. Number 1, you can increase the frequency at which your existing customers buy. So instead of buying from you, say, monthly, you can have them come and start buying every 3 weeks. And you've just increased your revenue by something like 25%. So you can have them buy on a more often basis, so you increase the frequency, or you can increase the average dollar spend. So at the point of sale, when they're actually paying and spending money with you, how do you bump that up? How do you have them buy a few additional add-ons? So think of it this way. When you go down to your local convenience store and you might be buying, say, bread and milk, right there on the shopping counter, you're going to have sweets or lollies. And how many times have you just picked off one and just added it to your order? Well, they're very strategic about having those things in that particular place because they know when you see them there, you're likely to add it to the order. That's increasing the average transaction size. So instead of spending, say, $15 on milk and cereal, now you're spending, say, $17. They've just increased the average transaction size by $2, and it might not sound like a lot, but I mean, that's more than 10% in an increase in revenue just by product placement, just by having an additional add-on at the point of sale. Now, here's why this is so important. The one thing that you can count on, the one thing you can bet money on is that your advertising costs over time will go up. They will continue to go up. That's a certainty because as more and more competition comes into your industry, more people are competing for that same advertising, prices get pushed up. I can remember when Google AdWords was really cheap, where you could go and get clicks on Google AdWords for, say, under 20 cents. These days, many of those same clicks now are at over $1, or in some cases over $2. And it's simply because the increase in competition has pushed up that market price. Now, this also happens with every new platform. So every new advertising platform that comes out, they always start off being very cheap for advertisers like you and me. So for example, when Facebook launched, I can still remember it. I can still remember when Facebook wasn't yet mainstream and most people were using MySpace. And personally, I caught on pretty late. Okay, I wasn't one of the early adopters, but I remember getting a Facebook account and placing my first ad on Facebook, and it was so cheap. It was so cheap. It was easy to get ads approved, and it was just an advertiser's dream. But what happened was, as people started to make money with it, as businesses started to use it to consistently get more customers, they were willing to pay more, and their competitors caught on. Their competitors saw how much money they were making. So now, with increased competition, the cost per click started to go up. And at some point, the cost per click got actually above where it should be, above the market price. So what that does is that scares away competitors who are actually using that platform. They go away, demand comes down to match supply, and that's where you have your stable cost per click. That's how it is with any advertising platform out there. They always start off that way. They're unexplored. No business owners are really using them. But then as soon as some business owners start making good money, it attracts competition, prices go up. This is why you need to continuously optimize your back end. And the most successful businesses in any industry are the ones who are willing to make the least on the front end and know that they can make it up on the back end. They're able to go and buy advertising in places that their competitors can't because their average lifetime value is much, much higher. Now, which side of the business can be put on autopilot? Here's another case for the back end. So which side, the front end or the back end? This is taken from one of Rich Schefren's reports, and the report is the Internet Business Manifesto. By the way, I recommend you read that. It's a great report. So find that wherever you can online and read it. So he says, which side of the business can be put on autopilot? Which sale is harder to make, the front end or the back end? Of course, it's the front end. Making the sale to a first-time customer when they don't yet know you that well, they haven't yet done business with you, they don't yet fully trust you possibly, making that first sale is always the hardest. As long as they have a good experience, making a second, third, fourth sale is actually quite easy. Which end faces more competition? So do you think there's more competition on the front end or the back end? Definitely the front end. Okay, there's definitely a lot more competition on the front end. New businesses entering your space probably won't yet have a back end, but they will have a front end. That's how they've got to get into business. They have to have a front end. Which end requires constant innovation? With Mobe, the offers that we are working on the most are our front end offers. In fact, every single month we are coming out with new front end offers under $50. Our back end offers like titanium, platinum, diamond, we're not constantly changing those. We don't need to. But the front end we do, because the front end, it gets exhausted after a while. The front end offers that are working really well for your business, they're not going to work well forever. At some point, the market will get tired of them. That particular product has already sold well enough that people will start getting almost tired of it and they'll stop responding to it. So you have to constantly be innovating and bringing out fresh new offers. That's why we have to change it up every single month. Which sale has a higher conversion rate? Definitely on the front end. You're going to have a lot more front end customers than you will back end customers. Now, which end are you going to make the biggest profits from? Well, that's the back end. So the front end can be a lot harder in many different ways, but as far as where you make the most profits, it's on the back end. Now there's two ways of thinking of that, by the way. So a company like Agora, which does hundreds of millions of dollars per year, they would say that they make most of the money on the front end. But what they mean by that is they understand the value of those customers that they're getting as being potential assets later when they upgrade and ascend through the back end. So all successful businesses have an ascension path. Let's have a look at Apple. When you buy a product from Apple, you can start off with, say, an iPod. You can get an iPod Nano. So I don't know what the cost is today, but when I got one years ago, it was somewhere under $100. So it's not much at all. But what happens? You get that, and then it works better with other Mac devices like an iPad or MacBook Pro. It naturally works better with other Apple products. So there's another reason why you want to upgrade and get the other Apple products. That's how I got into buying Apple products. I first got an iPod, and then I actually got, I believe, an iPhone, and then finally I got a MacBook Pro. And then shortly after that, I got a MacBook Air, and then I got one of the bigger iMacs to have as a desktop. So Apple have done this in a very intelligent way. They've designed all of their products to work in their optimal manner with other Apple products. So once you buy one, that's part of their ascension path to get you into all the others. So you've got to have a tiered product mix in your business. So let's say, for example, you were selling bicycles. So in this case, you were selling a mountain bike for $2,000. In fact, a racing bike. Now, that's one product. You've got to have products that complement that you can use in your ascension model. So a quick, easy example of that is if you were selling these bikes, you might also sell cycle camps where people can pay a much higher price to come and actually be a part of a cycle camp. Now, with your ascension path, here's what you've got to do. Every single product has to set up the sale for the next product. This is something that took me many years to learn, but if you can design your products with the ascension model built into them, it's really going to help. So let me explain what I mean by that. You're selling your front-end products, and you might be selling your front-end product for $100, $500, depends on your business. But you purposely put into the marketing material that comes along with that product, and even possibly in the way that they use it, some offer to get the next product or some recommendation to get the next product. Now, some people out there might say, well, no, you shouldn't do that. You should just deliver the value you said you would. You still deliver the value you said you would, but you also talk about the benefits of why they need to get the next product as well. The best people to market the next back-end products to are your front-end buyers. So you build it into the product itself. Here's an example. Okay, and this is just me being completely upfront with you about the way that I think, the way that I market, and the way that I run my own company. So our core products, I've already told you what they are. It's silver to diamond, but these are the products that get the majority of focus in Mo, because we believe that if someone goes from silver all the way to diamond, they're going to get a really good business education. They will learn about all the stages of building their business from idea right up until the exit strategy. But throughout these programs, when I was putting them together, I was always thinking of, okay, how do we have someone get this product and then move them along through our ascension process? I literally designed them so that one moved into the next and so on. I want you to start thinking about how can you do that in your own business. Okay, and again, you can do it, it just requires a bit of creativity. Let's talk about a few different ways that you can make back-end sales. So you have what's known as upsells, cross-sells, you have downsells. Let's talk about a few of them. Perhaps one of the most famous ones is McDonald's. So I love the story of McDonald's. Ray Kroc came across the McDonald's first restaurant in the mid-50s in Illinois, and right away he saw the potential. Now in those early stages, and this is actually from his book called Grinding It Out. It's by Ray Kroc. It's a great read. But in those early stages, they realized that even though they thought they were in the hamburger business, really what they were largely selling in the beginning was the fries. People loved the fries. So when people would come in to buy the hamburger, the question was, of course you know it, would you like fries with that? Did you know that by asking that one little question, by having that little add-on, they make a large part of their entire profits from asking, would you like fries with that? Now, in addition to that, what else do? They also try and upgrade you to a bigger, more expensive meal. So if you're in America, then they actually go right up to, I believe, supersize. They don't do that everywhere around the world. But if someone orders, say, medium, they will say, would you like to upgrade for? And they'll tell you how cheap it is to upgrade. Those simple little questions might not seem like a big deal, but I guarantee you that those questions asked at the point in sale, that completely changes the economics of the entire business model. Because if they can get just an additional, even just 10 or 15% in revenue, just from asking those questions across their 30,000 plus restaurants all around the world, just an additional 10%, their margins might not even be, I believe their margins are somewhere around 15, 20% at some point in the past they've been, but an extra 10% has a huge impact on their profit margins. You can find ways to do this in your own business. Okay, again, you just have to be creative enough to think, what are the questions? When should I ask them? Where are the opportunities to have an upsell? So here's an example of an upsell I added in, and I've got a confession here. This is going to make me look kind of stupid, and I feel stupid for letting this even happen. So one of our main product offerings was a $49 price point, and we went on to sell. We've actually sold now over 140,000 of these $49 products. Now, here's the part I'm not too proud to admit. We sold well over 100,000 of them without there being a single upsell. Okay, no upsell at that point in sale, the point of sale. So that $49 transaction, that's what it was. It was $49. And then later on in our sales process, yes, we would have additional offers that we would make. But one day I decided I was going to add in an upsell. They would pay the $49, and then right away there would be a one-time offer, and it would be $197. Now, it took me maybe a day, 2 days to do it. I didn't even write the sales copy. I got a copywriter to do it for me. I think I paid them something like $1,000, not much. I asked my tech team to build a simple one page where people could click add to cart. Now, as soon as I put that in place, right away, I felt both elated out of all the revenue I was going to make, extra revenue for no extra advertising dollars, but I also felt really bad because I realized, I did the calculations, that if I'd had that upsell, which again took less than 1 or 2 days to add in, but if I'd had it from the very beginning, it would have translated to literally somewhere around $500,000 in extra revenue. No extra work, no extra advertising dollars. So if you don't currently have one-time offers in your sales process, think about how you can add one in. It can just be whatever version your front-end product is, you have that version plus. Okay, so in this case, we literally called this, I believe the front-end was MTTB, and we called the upsell MTTB Plus, and it was a more enhanced version of it where they got extra additional programs. Now, we found that when we first released this, somewhere around 1 out of 10, so 10% of people were clicking add to cart. Okay, so right away their credit card was charged an additional $197. So it's such an easy thing to do. You've got to work out how can you do this in your own business. Now, while we're on the topic of upsells, here's a question that I often get from clients, especially newer clients who are starting a business for the first time. Sometimes they will start to wonder, well, how many upsells is too many? And some people can start to feel a little bit squeamish around having too many upsells. If you're feeling that way, then my opinion to you, my advice to you is, whatever you're selling, you either don't believe in it or you've got some hang up around selling, some negative connotation around selling that you need to clear away. And I want to read to you a passage here. This is from Michael Masterson, that's his pen name at least, and he wrote a book called Ready, Fire, Aim. And it's a short passage, but I want to read this to you because to me, when I first read this many years ago, it really stuck with me, and it illustrates the kind of mindset that you should have as a business owner in serving your customers and not being afraid to make additional offers and have upsells. Oh, by the way, the author of this book was also the guy who helped take Agora Publishing from somewhere around 30 million to over 200 million per year. A very smart guy. He's built a lot of very successful businesses as well. Let's say that you're a salesperson at an upscale accessory store for men, and the customer comes in and they're looking for a ballpoint pen, and you see the customer. He's self-confident, well-spoken, relaxed, and you get the feeling he's there to enjoy himself and to shop for something nice. He's not a businessman who's lost his pen and is looking for just another one to replace it. So you ask him, do you have anything special in mind? And he says, sure, something different, something nice. And you notice that he's wearing Gucci loafers and a Patek Philippe wristwatch. That's an expensive brand, and you make a quick, intuitive decision. So you say to him, I have something I think you may like, and it just arrived. And you show him the most expensive pen in the store. It's a sterling silver, gold-trimmed Mont Blanc at $2,995. And of course, he replies, well, I wasn't planning to spend quite that much at this time. Then because you're good at what you do, you say nothing and the seconds tick away. And he says, oh, what the hell, I'll take it. So you're feeling good. You've just doubled your quota for the day, and the store usually sells no more than one of these pens that you've just sold every single week, so you're feeling pretty good. Now the question, and this is what Michael Masterson asked his readers, what would you do now? What should you do now? Should you thank the gentleman for the purchase and say goodbye? Should you thank him, give your card and say goodbye? Should you thank him, give him your card, put his name on your mailing list and then say goodbye, or none of the above? So right now I want you to pause this video, and what would you do? Okay, I want you to actually answer. What would you do right at this point? The answer that Michael Masterson said is, of course, none of the above. You should thank him and, of course, give him your card and put him on your mailing list. But you do all of that after you've done something else. You should try and sell him something else. Yes, that's right. Sell something else and do it right away before you ring up that first sale. Now, on a side note, when you're doing this alone, you always do it after the first sale. So after they put in their credit card details, never before. But in this example, this is what you might say. You might say something like, you have excellent taste, Mr. Jones. This is our finest pen. Did you know there's a matching pen tool? And he says, is that so? You say, can I show it to you? I just want you to see how they look together. You don't wait for an answer. You just quickly select the pen tool, you place it on the display tray next to the pen, the $3,000 pen that he's just purchased, and you say something like, do you see how the silver and gold are symmetrically designed? And he says, yes, I do. You pick up the pen tool and you hand it to him and you say, and feel how light that is, and yet it's very comfortable in your hand. Don't you think so? And he will say, well, yes, but, and look at this, you say, and you reach for something behind the counter. Look at this beautiful leather carrying case. It was made especially for this matching pen and pencil set. It's a limited edition. It normally sells for $295, but I can give it to you free if you would like to add the pencil to your collection. He will say, well, I wasn't quite ready yet. And then you quickly show him the pen and the pencil in the carrying case and you say, isn't that gorgeous? And you hand him the case to actually hold it, and then you stand back and you say, in my opinion, that is the finest set of writing implements in the world. Now he's looking down at it and he's admiring it and he says, Yes, it is very nice. And you reply, distinguished, beautiful, yet not overdone. Yes? And if you think you'd like it, this is the perfect time because I can give you a 10% discount on both pieces plus the case for free. It's a promotional discount that was supposed to end yesterday, but in this case, I can extend that special offer to you just today. And how much is this pencil? It's only $1,995. Should we do it? He says, sure, let's do it. So that's what you do before you actually thank him for the purchase and give your card and you put him on the mailing list. You try to sell him something else. And in this case, what started off with a $3,000 pen turned into another $2,000, so altogether $5,000. Now, you do this for 3 reasons, and here's what Michael Masterson says. It will make your business more profitable, which is good for you. It will make you a better salesperson, which is what we all want to be. And it's likely that buying another writing implement, in this case, is exactly what this customer wanted to do the moment he finished buying the first one. That's what he wanted to do deep down, and we allowed him to do so. So I don't know about you, but when I first heard that passage, I agreed with it. And I started to think of making additional offers, not as something that I should feel guilty about us, but more along the lines of I'm doing the customer a favor here, because deep down we all love to buy, and we all know it. We all love to buy. We all love to go shopping and treat ourselves. So allow your customers to treat themselves through buying more from your business. Let's talk about cross sells or add-on sales. So a cross sell is where you're not necessarily selling a higher priced product. You might be selling a product of equal value or an equal price point, but it complements the very first product. Okay, so everything that you're selling right now, there's another product that would complement it, that would make the use of that initial product perform better, derive more benefits from. So there's always an opportunity, just about always, to have a cross sell. Here's an example. Okay, this is something that I cross-sell some of my audience into. So some of the audience that I market to are affiliate marketers. These are people who want to learn how to promote other people's products, services online and earn commissions. However, when they're brand new, a lot of them don't know how to generate traffic. So after offering them the marketing system and making a sale with that, one of the cross-sells that we have are our traffic packages. So we have traffic packages like WeSellClicks.com and WeSellGoodTraffic.com. This is an example of a cross-sell, and this is quite a high revenue producer for Mob. It's not necessarily the most profitable one because cost of fulfillment on selling traffic is quite high, but it does produce quite a substantial amount of revenue. Here's another one. A lot of our clients are information marketers, and they're in the business of building themselves as an expert in their certain niche. So they buy our how-to training. Another cross-sell that we have is we say, would you like to come to our film studio, the very same film studio that I'm in right now recording this to you? And if they say yes, it's $10,000 a day, and they can actually end up buying 3-day packages that go right up to about $20,000 or $25,000. So it's just another add-on. It's a cross-sell into what they originally brought from our business. Now, a downsell, on the other hand, is something that you can offer at the point of sale when they're ready to buy, but for some reason they decide not today. So rather than lose that customer, you take them to a downsell. Now, a downsell could be something like this. You go to buy a car, the one you like, you want to buy it, but it's just a little bit too expensive, so they downsell you to a similar car, some similar attributes or benefits, but not quite as good, but also a lower price. That's a downsell. Here's another example. So on some of our $49 products that we have a downsell. If people go to leave the page, they go to exit off the page and they haven't yet paid the $49, we take them to a downsell where they can pay $19 today, get access to the product, and then 7 days later, their credit card will be billed the remaining $30. So they still end up paying $49, but this way they get to try it out for $19, and it's just less of a commitment up front. Okay, so we don't get a huge amount of sales from this, but I would say that maybe every 30 sales we get at the $49, there's going to be one or two that come in at the $19 and pay the balance later on. So let's talk about promoting your back-end product. So first of all, you should already know this is quite obvious, but you don't want to lead with your back-end. Always lead with a front-end product, low risk for your customers, lower price point, it's much easier to say yes to, and the back-end products are marketed to your front-end customers. A lot of our back-end products, we don't market to the public. For example, the Diamond Mastermind, even though we do feature it on our website, we certainly don't lead with the Diamond Mastermind because it is a much more exclusive, much more valuable, but also much higher price point than what we could ever use on our front end. Okay, there's no way that we could go and market that initially on the front end. So we market $10 products, $20 products, $49 products, and then the back-end products like Diamond, we do actually market to our front-end customers. That's how you want to do it as well. I love this example, and I first heard this from someone recounting a Gary Halbert story. So Gary Halbert, I mentioned him before, famous direct response marketer, but he talked about this state that people go into when they buy, and it's a very important lesson. So when you take out your credit card and you buy, at that exact point in time, that is when you are most open to buying additional products of that nature from that particular business owner. And you will know what I mean. If you've ever bought a product before and you've been talking to a great sales rep and they've offered you additional products, how much easier was it to say yes, a second yes for that additional product, than it was to say the first yes and pull out your credit card? There's just something about pulling out the credit card on that first go that it's like a little barrier that you have to overcome in your marketing to get people to actually go through the act of reaching for their wallet and pulling out their card. But once someone has their card out, they're now in this special state where they are ready to spend money, and they are much more receptive to spending money with your business. So this is what we call the buying frenzy. And I can remember seeing this for the first time. This would have been in maybe 2010, I think. But I'd started selling products online, and in the beginning it was $97. That was my main price point. And I started to build out my back end, and I started to add in upsells. Okay, so I had what were known as upsells or one-time offers. And I had something like 7 of them. So someone would pay $97, and then I would have OTO after OTO after OTO. And I had 7 of them, and some people said, yes, that's way too many. But my thinking was, if people don't want them, they'll just say, no, thank you. So I had no guilt, no reservation about doing that. But I remember watching a $97 sale come in. I got the email notification, and then about 3 minutes later, I had my Gmail open, so I saw this. I got the next sale that came in, and this one was for about $297. And then about 4 minutes later, I got another sale. So this customer was buying, they were clicking on add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. And that $97 buyer, within about a period of 20 minutes, went on to spend over $4,000. And this was when I was just starting to get success with my first real online business. Now, I watched a $97 buyer turn into over a $4,000 buyer, and back then, $4,000 was a lot of money. That made a big difference to my total monthly revenue. Whenever I saw those cases, I would always pick up the phone, call that customer, thank them, congratulate them, really just help to make sure that that sale would stick, and also just make sure that they got everything they needed. And I would really nurture those customers especially. You want to do the same in your business. But anyway, the point I was making here is that when someone pulls out a credit card, they're ready to spend money, you've got a very special but also short or slim window of opportunity to make additional sales, and you've got to take full advantage of that and find different product services that they need, that they're going to value, that you can offer. Okay, so here's how Gary Halbert explained it, and I hope you don't mind, this is a little bit crude, but that's how Gary Halbert was. So he said that buyers are a little bit like porcupines in heat, and he went on to say that porcupines only mate for about 8 to 10 hours per year. Okay, and there's this certain period of time where for about 10 hours they do the act, and then for the rest of the year they don't do it at all. And he said that a buyer is a little bit like that. You can be marketing to them, sending them emails day after day for 2 months. Finally, they're ready to buy. Your email shows up, they pull out a credit card and they buy. You have a very short, small window of opportunity to make much easier sales at that point in time with a lot less resistance. So again, getting someone to pull out a credit card and make that first purchase, there's resistance usually, there's barriers to overcome, but once the card comes out, make sure you as a marketer take full advantage of that and you have additional offers. Of course, everything you offer, I'm not saying, I want to make it very clear, offer great programs that are going to help your customers. But the reason why you have to operate your business like this is because if you don't, one of your competitors will. And with the rising cost of advertising, the economics of your business depend on you making sales when there are sales to be made. So if you're squeamish about making sales, if you have reservations about it, you really need to look at why, and you need to address that, because your success as a business owner, really, a lot of it comes down to how comfortable are you with making offers to your audience and selling. It really does. So let's have a look at some one-time offers or OTO. So you've seen these before, I'm sure, but when you're online and you buy a product from a good internet marketer, you can bet you're going to get OTOs. So they look a little bit like this. Usually there will be something at the top of the page that says, wait, you're not done yet, or wait, before you go, I have a special offer for you. And it will say this is a one-time only offer. And at this point in time, they're able to save money. Usually they're able to get a discount, or they're able to pay the normal price but get additional bonuses added in. So they read the sales letter or they watch the sales video, and all they have to do is click add to cart. Here's another example. So this one comes from Digital Marketer, and theirs here is for just $1. And they have this after an opt-in page. You opt in and then you get a $1 OTO, which is quite clever. Here's one that I have. So when people buy my Limitless book, and if you haven't seen this before, you might even go through the process to actually see it, but I'll put this in your manual as well so you can study it. But when they pay for the book, which is $9.95 for shipping and handling, if they're in the USA, I make them this offer. And it says, attention, your order is not complete. Please watch the video below. Special one-time only offer, how to get instant access to the world's premier high-ticket affiliate program. So there's a short video where I explain what it is, why they should get it, and then they can click on add to cart and get it for, I believe, an additional $49. Let's talk about continuity. So what is continuity? How do you add it into your business? So like I said before, continuity is where you're billing customers on fixed periods. It could be monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be annually, and you're offering ongoing value to them. The type of continuity programs you might be most familiar with would be a paid subscription to a newspaper, a magazine. Those are continuity-based businesses. So here's some examples. Verizon, for example, uses continuity. They charge you for data and you're paying every single month. In this case, you can see here, $30 for 1 gigabyte, $60 for 6 gigabytes, and this is on a monthly basis. Netflix. So Netflix, you're choosing their different plans. So here, Canadian dollars, $7.99 goes up to $9.99, premium up to almost $12 every single month. Now, their model is based on you subscribing and staying subscribed for a long time. So they're not making a lot of money on $8 per month, but they know that if you sign up for Netflix and you stay there for the next 5 years, that's going to end up being quite a substantial amount of money. That's going to be somewhere around $450. So their whole business model is based on you coming back month after month after month. Dropbox is another one. You'll see a lot of software business models. That's how they will charge continuity, pay month after month. Here's one of mine. So this is for a service called Traffic Generator Pro. It's traffic coaching. We help people learn how to get traffic to their business. And people pay $197 per month for this, so they get up-to-date traffic training, and they also get to talk to a traffic coach every single month. So it's ongoing coaching. Here's some other continuity programs that I have. I have done for you articles. So marketers who need to come up with content but don't want to write it every single month, we actually supply them with articles that they can use for their business for, in this case, $97 per month. We have the same for emails, done for you emails. So if they're marketing Mo products and they don't want to be writing the emails, we can write them for them, and then every single month it's $97, and they get an email every single day by a professional copywriter. If they were to go and do that themselves, hire a copywriter to do it themselves, they could be paying $2,000, $3,000 for that. So they get a really good deal, but we also get really consistent, stable revenue in our business. That's the good part about continuity. It adds a level of stability to your business. And also, here's our Inner Circle newsletter. So you might even be getting some of these right now. But every single month, we send out a lot of newsletters all around the world. And we have the silver newsletter, we have the gold newsletter, titanium, platinum. We have a lot of different newsletters. And if you're wondering, do I write them all? The honest answer is no, I don't write them all word for word, but I do talk to the writers who actually then transcribe what I say, and they do write them out. So yes, a lot of it actually does come from me. We also have guest authors as well. But these Inner Circle newsletters, they start out at about $20 per month and go right up to over $300 per month. So again, it's all about consistent, stable revenue. How could you do this in your business? That's what I want you to be thinking of as I'm showing you these examples. How could you add in continuity into your business right now? What kind of benefit or solution do your customers desire on a repeat basis, and how could you provide it to them? Could you even give them a free month just to get them into the program so they can try it out, see how good it is, and then their credit card gets charged? Could you do that? How could you do it? Now, the other thing we do is, even in our continuity programs like the newsletter, we're always planting seeds for our back end. And again, feel free to model this. So, for example, when we send out the newsletter, you will notice on the back is always this message. It says, "We'll see you at a future MOB mastermind." And we will have a photo from one of our titanium, platinum, or diamond masterminds. So we're always planting seeds. You want to be doing that in your business. Always be planting seeds to increase the ascension rate in your business. Now, here's another case study. This one comes from Glazer Kennedy, so Dan Kennedy's company. And with their Inner Circle, I love what they do here, and you should see how you can do this too. Just because your customer is paying for your continuity program, it doesn't mean they're going to automatically consume it. So you always must be selling. Every step of the way, you've got to be selling. You've got to not only sell your products, you've got to sell the consumption of your product. Because one of the main reasons why someone's going to cancel your continuity is because they're not getting value, because they're not consuming it. So if you're sending out newsletters or you're giving some ongoing monthly service and people realize they're not getting value, yet their credit card's getting charged every month, then at some point they are going to call you up and they're going to say, I want to cancel. So what he's doing here is, on the cover of the envelope, he's got a lot of this teaser copy where he's telling you, here's what's inside this Inner Circle newsletter. Here's why you want to be reading it. So always selling them on the consumption. And always throughout his newsletters, which I like, he does a couple of things. Number one, he's always talking about the value they're getting and how if they implement one of these tactics, one of these strategies, it will pay for the entire year of Inner Circle newsletters. So it's very smart. And also featuring case studies and always putting the level of product or service that they are at before their name. You might have noticed that I do that as well. Okay, and this is where I got it from, Dan Kennedy. So when I send out a newsletter, if I'm talking about one of our successful members, you will notice many of them are diamond members. And I don't just say, for example, John Chow, I say Diamond member John Chow. I always say the level they're at right before their name every single time because it's planting seeds. Okay, always plant seeds. You've got to work out how can you do that throughout your business, all the way throughout your marketing cycle. Here's another thing you can do. Dan Kennedy started doing this. He started sending out the newsletters in clear envelopes. So you actually receive this in the mail. It's a plastic see-through envelope, which I thought was quite clever. Now you can actually see what's inside. Let's talk about you having your own catalog. Catalogs are great for cross-sells. They are great for building out a back end. And you can only do it once you have enough products. But as soon as I saw my very first catalog and I got into business, I realized that one day I want to have my own catalog. I always thought it would be really cool to have one. So I actually put together this, and this will be in your manual so you can see it as a case study. But this is an older one, Mobe catalog. You can see inside of it in the manual, but it has all our different products, our live events. The reason why you send out a catalog is because people don't usually throw catalogs away. At least if they like the business or the kind of products, they will usually keep a catalog somewhere handy. So they're going to leave that in their house. They're going to pick it up from time to time. They're going to be reading through it, and if you have good copy in there, if you have good product services, they're going to be calling you back. So how can you introduce a catalog into your business? So you can see here, this is Dan Kennedy's one, and he calls it the Make More Money catalog. And all throughout it, he's got his different products, copy on each one, prices, everything. Another thing that you can do to increase ascension is you can build in status to your more expensive, more valuable programs. In other words, you make it exclusive where people almost have to earn the right to get it. And again, if I'm being completely open with you about how we do this in Mobe, we do this with our Diamond Mastermind. When we're at a live event and we're talking about Diamond, we're very clear that it's invite only, okay? And that's not just a marketing tactic. It's also true because we want the right people in that program. We don't want anyone in that program who's not a good fit for it. But how can you do this in your marketing? How can you introduce a product offering where you can build in some status and make it exclusive where people actually have to apply? They have to actually jump through some hoops in order to even be able to get it. Here's a great example. This is the American Express Centurion card, and you might have heard of this. It's also known as the Black Card, and if you haven't heard of it, Google it and just read some stories about it. This credit card is pure titanium. The card itself is titanium. And to get one, you have to be spending somewhere around $250,000, or it might even be $500,000 per year on your credit card. American Express don't even really tell you what the requirements are because you can't even apply for this card. It's invite only. You have to wait for them to contact you. Now, when I heard all about this, I naturally wanted it. I heard about it about a year ago, and I started reading the stories. I started going online and finding out that someone had once actually brought a jet on one of these cards. People could buy Rolls Royces on them. They had no limits. And then I started hearing about how you can't even apply for one. So I naturally did. I tried to apply for one. I picked up the phone and I called American Express and I told them, or I asked them, how do I get the Centurion card? And they rebuffed me. They said, well, it's actually invite only. So that just made me want it even more. And I started asking around and finding people who had been able to get one and trying to work out how did they get it. And after about 3 months of this, finally I gave up. I thought, okay, I'm never going to get the card. And then about 6 months later, I got an email. I woke up to it and it said it was an invitation to Centurion. And I was very happy about that. And they sent me the application form, and this card actually costs $5,000 per year. So here's me paying $5,000 a year to have the privilege of spending money with American Express. And when I received it in the mail, my one came in a slightly nicer box than this one, but it comes in this big elaborate box, and the box itself looks like it probably cost about $300 to make. but the packaging and the whole process, it's all about selling status. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't even really use it. I honestly don't. So it's probably a waste of money for me, but this is really just genius by American Express. And all businesses can do this. All businesses can introduce a service or a product that invokes that desire, that human desire to have higher status. Some people have it more than others, and you know who those people are because they're the people who will go and buy the Mont Blanc pens, they will go and spend the $1,000 on a pair of shoes. They want to have that status and be associated with that higher level of brand or product that not everyone can have. So it's a very powerful way to market your products and services, and to also have people buy your more valuable and also far more expensive programs. Patek Philippe, they also have this, and here's an interesting story. This watch you're looking at, this watch costs somewhere around $1.2 million. You can't even buy it. In order to get this watch, you have to actually show Patek Philippe that you are a watch collector of a high status. You have to show them your collection, and they will only allow you to pay them the $1.2 million if you meet their requirements. Let's talk about pricing points. So with your back end, what kind of price point should you have? How do you come up with the price points? Well, here's my advice with this. You don't increase them in a linear fashion. You increase them in an exponential function. Okay, and this was some very good advice given to me by marketer Perry Marshall many years ago. But when you sell a product, let's say in my case I'm selling a $49 product, my next upsell shouldn't be double that, so $98, and then it shouldn't go to $147 and then $196. It shouldn't be like that at all, because that would be a linear increase, an increase of about $50 every single time. Instead, you want the increase to be exponential. Okay, so you go from $49, in our case we actually go $49 to $2,497. That's our main upsell. So think about that. That's a multiple of many, many times of the prior product. Now from there, we actually do go to closer to 5,000, and then it is 10,000. That is linear. But then it starts to go up in a linear fashion. It goes to almost 17,000, an additional 30,000. We have programs that go right up to $100,000. And by the time you see this, we could even go beyond that. We just need to find ways that we can create that amount of value that justifies such a much higher price. But here's my point. When you're coming up with your products and services, don't think in terms of linear increments. Think in terms of multiple increments. Within your list of customers or your list of prospects right now, you're always going to have that segment who will pay 10, 20, even 100 times what your average customer pays. And all businesses have those segments, and I can tell you most businesses right now, that is their greatest untapped opportunity available to them. And most of them, it's staring them right in the face, it's right at their fingertips, but they're not taking advantage of it. Okay, they don't see that segment, they're not marketing the right way to that segment. So you've got to have a back end that is so valuable that it can justify such a higher increment in price and start offering it. And even if 1 out of 1,000 customers takes it, it can still dramatically change the economics of your business. I realized this for the first time in 2013. I was in Fiji doing a big live event, and I actually offered a $50,000 program from stage. And this was back when my comfort zone for offering programs was really, not more than $15,000. Okay, that was my comfort zone. And for a long time, my comfort zone, way back in 2009, was more around 2,000. I thought, well, that's too far. So it's really just about comfort zones. That plays a large part in it. Let's talk about one way that you can build the value to justify higher prices. So what you can do is you can do something called making the parts worth more than the whole. When you're marketing a product, when you're selling a product, one thing that you should always do is you should break that overall value proposition, break it up into smaller pieces, into different components, and then sell the components build the value of those components, give them a price, and then at the very end, add it all up, and the total value of the package should be a much larger amount than the price. The price should look like the deal of the century. That's how it should look. It should look like a really low price compared to the perceived value. Now again, I'm not saying just build in marketing fluff and give arbitrary high prices to your components that really can't be justified. Okay, keep it all realistic and above board. But my point is, whenever you sell something, show your potential customer all the individual parts and explain to them all the values of those individual parts. That way they will see what it's really worth. Here's an example. This is for Traffic Generator Pro. This is one of my programs that I have, and I go through all the different bonuses and parts they're going to get. Here's 3 bonuses, and you can see that one of these is $297. The other one, we actually give them the license rights to a product, so we can easily say the license rights to that entire product are in the thousands. And of course, we give them a book. And then we go through all the different modules they're going to get, and we talk about each module and we assign it a value, in this case $97. We add it all up, and at the end, the value is in the thousands, and then the price reveal shows it's $197. How can you do that in your marketing and your sales process? I want you to pause this video and I want you to really think about, what are you selling? How can you break it up? Okay, and how can you actually assign a value to each, add it all up, show that to your customers, and then reveal the actual much lower price. Here's another strategy you can do, and this is called conceal the price. And I know that sounds a little bit shady, and I don't mean it in that way at all. But when I say conceal the price, I mean instead of actually selling the upfront amount price, what you do is you sell it on a payment plan and you don't even mention the full pay. So for example, we have right here, if you were selling a $5,000 product, instead of saying it's $5,000, you could just say it is $1,250 over 4 months. You don't even mention the $5,000. Basically, instead of selling a $5,000 product now you're selling $1,250 today. It's much easier. And you'll see that a lot of cars are sold this way. They are sold more around the weekly payments you're going to make. Even a lot of white goods like refrigerators and so on. If you go to your appliance store where they sell all of that, often they don't even tell you the real price. You have to go and look closely to see what it is. But often what they do is they say just $7 a week or just $19 a week. So like I said, they do this with cars, they do this with a lot. Instead of having that big, large price, which can be very intimidating for a lot of people, you break it up into smaller amounts, and then it's so much easier to say yes to. Now, the other thing you can do to really build out a fast back end is you can look at your current business, whatever you're selling, and where do your customers struggle to actually implement. Okay, so if you're selling how-to information, for example, most of your customers struggle to implement. Most people struggle to implement. In fact, if you're watching this right now, I'm willing to bet that you're getting a lot of information right now and you're thinking, well, if I'm going to implement all of this, that could be hard. My advice to you is just start by implementing one thing and just start. But that's how most people think. They do struggle to implement. So if you can offer some kind of done-for-you service, they will pay a lot more money because it saves them time, it saves them energy, and it just saves them a lot of headaches. Here's a few examples. So I showed you these before, done-for-you emails, articles, videos. I know that a lot of my audience, the internet marketers in my audience, they don't want to do all of this. In fact, most of them are lazy, and I'm lazy too. Most of us internet marketers, we don't want to do all of this extra work. We only do it because we have to get the result. But if someone comes along and offers to do it for us, we will gladly take that option. In fact, many of us will pay a lot of money for that. So that's why we came up with these services where we would start to do it for them. And these are some of our best sellers as well, so it works. Now, we also have done-for-you services where we actually build out entire funnels, marketing systems, and the price points on some of these are $10,000 and above. So whatever you think of that price, here's what you got to realize. People will pay that kind of money because if you can save them 3 months of their life, which many of these programs do. In fact, they probably save them a lot more. They see the value there in just having a near instant solution without them having to do all the work. So again, how can you offer a done-for-you service or a done-for-you product into your business? Let's talk about reactivating past customers. So you're getting sales, customers are coming in, you always have new front-end money flowing in, and you have some back-end sales, but there's a lot of your front-end customers who, after that first purchase, or the second or third, they stop buying from you. So what do you do with those people? Well, a lot of businesses just move on, but there's actually an enormous profit center in reactivating your past customers, okay, who become unengaged. So how do we do that? First of all, some stats. Did you know that acquiring a new customer can cost 7 times more than reactivating an existing one? I said this before, but your biggest expense in business is going to be buying customers. So anytime that you can avoid buying customers and just go to your existing customers, that's an opportunity that you really need to take full advantage of. Do you know that an average company in the US loses between 20% and 40% of its customers every single year? So what are some ways that you can reactivate them? Well, let's have a look at a few case studies. Here's this one from Netflix. So they send this to people who've been with Netflix before but cancelled for whatever reason, and they say, now is a great time to come back to Netflix. Come back today and instantly watch as many TV episodes and movies as you want for only $7.99 a month. So they offer some kind of a deal. Just by sending this out, a certain number of people left Netflix, not because they were unhappy, but just because their credit card declined, maybe there was no money on it that month, and they just forgot about it. So by simply sending out an email or a piece of direct mail, that alone can reactivate them. Another thing you can do is pick up the phone and call them. When I was starting out, I actually worked at a call center, and the whole purpose of this call center, this was way back in 2007, was to actually reactivate customers who had left a very prominent phone company in Australia. And what we would do is we would call back past customers, many of them who were very unsatisfied with the initial service, and we were paid on straight commission. So if we didn't get results, if we didn't sell, we didn't get paid. But our job was to reactivate them, to get them to come and join. In this case, it was a company called Telstra, to get them to come and join the company again and start using them. How can you use phone sales to reactivate lost customers? I want you to actually think of some ways you can start doing that right away. So here's the action items for this module. First of all, I want you to think, what kind of OTO or one-time offers can you start offering in your business right after the sale of your first front-end product? What could you offer at that point? Start asking questions. If you don't have another back-end product yet developed that you can offer, here's what I want you to do. The next time a customer walks into your store or interacts with you and they buy a product from you, ask a question and ask them, would you be interested in this service or this additional product if I could develop it? See what their level of interest is. And if you start getting a lot of yeses, then go in that direction and develop that product right away. Okay, and then start offering it right at that point of sale. How can you add continuity into your business? Can you add in a newsletter? Can you add in a service that you perform on a regular monthly basis? What can you do to add in continuity into your business? Again, the great thing about continuity is stability and consistency. It's revenue you can count on just about every single month. What part of your customer experience would they pay you to do completely for them or your business to do? So how can you introduce a done-for-you service or some kind of done-for-you component into your business? To me, this is the easiest opportunity in anyone's business, because everyone's customers have some part of that product usage experience that they don't like. They would gladly pay someone else to do for them. And last of all, do you have existing customers that you can be reactivating, you can be re-engaging? Do you have them available? Do you have them in your business right now? And what kind of marketing campaigns can you put together? Can you send out an email campaign? Can you pick up the phone and start calling them, or have some salespeople in your team call them? Could you do a direct mail campaign? Start thinking, how can you reactivate your customers? We'll see you in the next module.